Hello, all, and welcome. I'm your not-so-humble Game Master, TJ, and this is Dice of Ages, presenting CrestVahllen, the Argent Flame, Episode 79, Cross-Plane Mansplain. Without further ado, let's get into the recap of the previous episode. Organic tumorous growths are noticed upon the temples of the orator as he flees down the labyrinthine tunnels, the cracked orb in his clutches. A handful of blue terazine dust is tossed at Shakar, banishing the familiar. As Moonchild attempts to catch the thief, Zemdak's curiosity leads to his cheek being impaled by blue terazine and sustaining third-degree burns as Argos scorches the crystal off the clumsy gnome's face. Some experiments with severed hands and catalyst dust are conducted, creating a makeshift blue terazine-like glove and revealing tiny flaring portals. Before everyone rests for the night, Log visits a bordello and has a somewhat informative conversation with another bugbear named Duval of the Sunbathed Lizards. Log learns that the Red Lion Syndicate is still looking for survivors of the massacre of his family, being bankrolled by the same someone/something that funds the smuggling of animals endemic to the Lawamban Dominion. Log draws a majestic giraffe for Duval before returning to the Fang. Now, let's get back to the action. Welcome back to CrestVahllen. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Not so humble Game Master TJ, Dice of Ages, CrestVahllen, Argent Flame, dogs. Cool. Last we left off, you guys did the whole thing with the secret tunnel, gathered some blue-colored terazine, informed Greyglove Silvervein of what was going on there. They were very exhausted with all of your stuff and said, okay, I understand if you guys need to keep moving on. And then you guys head to bed. Log, you had headed to a house of, I don't want to say pleasure. That's weird. I should have come up with a better term for this. But just
adult fun house.
That's worse. Somehow that's worse.
I think his house.
You head to the red light
dispute
district.
Was a good
Okay,
one.
that's just important. And you find a non-berry bugbear of which you have a conversation. You had a conversation with yada yada yada. You learned some stuff about that. I'm not going to recap all of it, but then you head home. Trisheni is still working with her books. When you do, the rest of you fall asleep. Trisheni, you're just copying stuff from your spellbook, right?
Exactly. I'm just copying into my backup spellbook, Shadow Blade, Pulse Wave,
Right.
and...
You don't need to cover it all. Just as long as you keep track of it, I don't really need to know.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you keep track of it, I don't need to...
I was just letting the audience know.
Okay. You guys know, you work into the wee hours of the morning before you just finally collapse, unable to keep your eyes open. Again, falling asleep on top of your book. Your posture is going to be so messed up if you keep doing this.
That's how wizards get that bent spine.
That's how blade dancers end their careers. So
she would have an ink smudge on her face, but the dark fur kind of covers.
Yeah. It's always that one side, but it's the darker.
it just looks like
maybe the edge of the, maybe the edge of the
on her
book
face.
like edged into your fur.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, we're going to Cole. You were so tired, and I assume spent when arcanely that you did not help Log before he went to sleep because you fall asleep, and you also fall asleep before he does. So you come home, you come back to the Fang, you slip into Dreamland. Go ahead and please roll the things we roll.
I haven't had one of those in a while.
9.
9. Okay.
It was bound to happen at some point.
Oh, I know.
We're not even there to harvest anything or save you.
I'm in the room with him, and I've been asleep for several.
I'm saying, and I went to sleep after he did, so theoretically he should wake up before I do.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, that is correct.
It's the best kind of correct, technically.
Okay. Actually,
Theoretically correct.
you slip back into your dream space. the work is progressing on the fortress. The moat is finished. You finished one of the crenulated towers. The walls appear to be making some progress. You have the tavern. You have the quarry still there. There appear to be now what looks like I don't want to say husbandry, and I don't want to say petting zoo, but I do want to say some sort of fenced off area where, like grazing fields, where you would keep like sheep or just some sort of fence. What is it called? Like a paddock. A paddock, that's the word I was looking for, where these two-dimensional stick figure sketches of giraffes appear to be meandering about. There's about 6 or 7 of them just in this like small paddock off to the side. I want to say small, but like, maybe an acre's worth of a paddock. Again, there's no grass. It's still just that like, small layer of like liquid that almost looks inky black just because as if the floor itself was made of just like very smoothly sanded, perfectly flat obsidian, and there's just that layer of just water between like about an inch of there that's just always there. And so they're moving about, again, two-dimensionally, just galloping through this 1 acre paddock that's off to the side of the mine fortress. It's a little disturbing, but you think, yeah, that's about right.
Majestic creatures. Truly majestic creatures. Yeah, when the fuck did they get here?
Time is weird.
But you got a clock now.
Yeah, but I don't keep track of it. I don't look at that. Why would I look at that? What does that do to me? Do you want me to look at it?
I mean, like,
how long do you want me to look at it?
Just glance at it every now and then to know. Forget it.
Okay, I've forgotten.
So they're here now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently they're like livestock. I don't know what to do with them. You ever like? We have. We've skinned and like roasted beasts and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know every time I go to like try to grab one, it just like slips out of my hand because it's like really thin.
I mean, that's.
And you can't see them if you're looking at them in a
You have to change your angle, and then
but they just feel like, I don't know, like the thinnest fur I've ever felt.
I'm gonna try something.
Okay.
Oh, gee.
I'm gonna try and make them look like how I remember giraffe, rather than using my artistic drawing. I'm going to try to make them like,
You got it. Sure. I think we did just straight charisma checks for this, didn't we?
Yep.
For you to impose your will upon your Dreamweaver realm.
Okay, that's 19 on the dice, so 22.
22. You say... You pretty much think, like, you don't know what the word for three-dimensional is, but you're like, become not flat. And one turns, and, like, you see one turn, and then, like, very Paper Mario-esque, as it turns, it faces you entirely and just disappears, because you can't fucking see the thing. And then you gains three-dimensional. It still looks like a stick figure, but it is three-dimensional. If you walk up to it and feel it, it feels like you remember they felt like. They now have some of the markings of, like, the brown spots upon the yellow texture. They are colored now rather than just being black and white, like, or gray, graphite, lead, whatever. They look kind of wonky. They look a little bit better than stick figures, but if this was brought into the material realm, it would not be able to support its own weight.
I really need fan art of this.
All right, see, well, so problem solved.
Okay, should I? I guess I don't think I need to drink or eat. But do you want me to start like harvesting them?
Can I tell if they're male, female, both?
That's up to you. Did you imagine male, female, non, both? What did you?
I just drew a giraffe, like a kid drawing a giraffe.
It probably doesn't have any genitalia. Unless you drew like a dick or a vagine or whatever on the thing, it probably doesn't have any genitalia.
Long would have drawn a dick on at least one of them.
But
Do you want to try to imagine them and anatomically
had.
correct?
Yeah, it depends on the drafts that he actually saw on the ship.
I mean, you saw a few, like a handful, at the very least a pair.
He wouldn't have drawn all that. Not for that particular case. Just trying to show someone what a giraffe looks like.
You also, I mean, you know how you work, how this place works. If you want to create more, you just think really hard, and sometimes some are born. They just become. I assume you're asking because you want to know if they can reproduce and replenish their numbers.
Well, right. Like if one can be milked, or if none of them can be milked, then like what other products are there to be had?
Milk the dream giraffe.
What resources can come from these creatures?
Can you milk a dream giraffe?
What cheese may come?
What are cheese made of? What cheese may come?
Right. I mean, butter, but everyone wants butter, so
Dream giraffe milk.
Can they be? I'm hesitant to continue down this line of questions.
I mean, technically, yeah.
Trust your gut there, TJ.
You tell me what it is you want to do, because this is your dream realm.
Let's give this some time and just see if they reproduce on their own. Or like, I don't know, maybe I'll like draw a cow tomorrow.
Picture one now and make it appear.
You're not there.
You can't give him suggestions. I've got a few that I would spit out.
I've never been in his dream world.
Yeah, because
I don't think your fire would work there.
No, yeah, he already feels accomplished enough having made these giraffes three-dimensional. So he feels accomplished enough. He doesn't have to make a new animal right now.
No. You're God in this realm, essentially. You're a god.
Oh yeah, but that was a lot. That was a lot of concentration to just make that go. Pff.
It was a lot of concentration. It took a lot of mental effort.
It's time for a beer.
Right. Yeah. So now it's
You
time
head
to
over
go.
to the tavern.
Yeah.
One of the drafts come with you. Sit at the bar.
Start talking to you.
I'll offer it a beer.
It's got this long neck that almost touches the ceiling. You offer it a beer. Shoves its head into your beer. Like has to come back to like.
It's like one of those birds.
Right.
Yep.
So I have to like lean down anyway.
He has to like back up and spread its legs out and go.
Yeah, I forgot how much this place was fucking awesome.
Yes, it is.
What wisdom saving
Tiny.
throw?
Literally anything in there.
This one. It's going to be a 10.
10. Okay. You feel just you're having a great time. Everything's cool. You've got your, three-dimensional sketched giraffe drinking ale. You're laughing. The Pinky is, about doing some bartender duties at the moment. Gall is kind of getting back to work, just moving around, saying hi, doing their thing. And you feel like a rumble from the whole tavern, and it feels like there's an earthquake, like as there's a tremor, and it starts to shake the glasses and all the bottles on the thing until it finally stops, and then there's this big bang, and like the whole area just moves and shoves in that rhythm, like someone knocking on a door.
No one's home.
Never been a truer statement from Luke.
There is a slight shift in the gravity of the space as it seems to list to one side as your ale slides across the bar to the other side of the bar.
It's like the whole thing. It's like whole like Titanic.
The whole
like,
realm.
Thing. All right, what the fuck is it?
No response.
Still tilting.
It begins to recorrect itself. There's some damage to the fortress. There's some damage to the tavern. One of the giraffes has kind of like fallen and almost impaled itself on the paddock bars, but it's okay. It's just like kind of caught its head in where area. It's piggy like, and
Would you have told me what
fixes it.
you experienced?
Not yet.
Well, just if you did. I don't. We might have talked about it when we were in there for 2 months. He might have told me about it.
3 months.
3 months.
No, I would not have.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
That was something very personal. Yeah.
Okay.
Besides, you're a traitor. Why am I going to tell the traitor I'm a witness?
I'm not the traitor, but
Okay, that's about it that happens
According to the dream, I was in with you. You are.
before you wake up the next morning. You are very, very cold when you wake up, as you have realized that in your slumber, as almost like a instinct of like feeling threatened from the outside, had casted Armor of Agathis on yourself. Without, I don't believe you even know the spell, do you?
yeah, I have it.
You do, yeah. So you had casted Armor of Agathis at the highest level you could cast it, and I believe it lasts for like an hour.
Yeah.
So you have it for the next, for all intents and purposes, next hour as you wake up, as the sheets are kind of like stuck to you because that dry ice kind of stick. You have to kind of.
And I've lost that spell slot for.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was something that innately happened among your slumber, and weird powers kind of coalesced.
Short rest.
Can I retroactively do one thing?
Sure.
Argus, do you have enough juice and think to make it light out?
Sure. Well, I didn't last night.
So
yeah,
then
that's what I
no.
mean. Okay, all right.
I
Nighty
did
night.
a lot of sendings and
That's fine. That's fine. It's good. It's fine.
healing Zemdak and
I'll just it makes sense.
burning bodies.
I'll just grab the little like music box that Zemdak
Start
had.
walking away, being like, do
Made
your
for me.
homework.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
just
close the
did that.
window. There's a breeze.
I can't move.
Shouldn't you already be awake?
I should have been
Okay.
having fun with it.
That's cocked.
Just randomly stare over me. Just
All right.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Sheni's not liking the underground.
Nope.
even the glowworms.
You all wake up. You guys receive a long rest. Go ahead and heal yourselves. Get your spell slots back. It's been a while. Eleazar found his way
It feels like it's been a couple
here.
of months.
into the interior of the Fang as well. Idoltu seems to be kind of just with him at all times now. Chilling out, sometimes doing their own thing, sometimes not. Eleazar is kind of posted up in the lobby, if there is such a thing, of the Fang, just kind of keeping tabs on the comings and goings of particular individuals and casing the joint. Idoltu's kind of become a piece of furniture over in the corner, all fluffy and cozy and sleepy. You wake up. It is the, I believe, 35th, finally, of High Lock.
Oh, it feels like home. Why is it so cold?
Sorry.
Log, did you wet the bed again?
No, I froze it.
That's worse.
That was a really good joke that deserves a bigger laugh and more attention. Did you wet the bed? No, I froze it.
Yeah.
That's like supplement.
No, it's
the
good.
reverse of supplement.
It is
That's awesome.
That's good.
It's even better the second time.
Okay. States of matter. Funny jokes. I like science. Okay. The day is yours.
Just blow hot air.
So we should figure out what we're doing next.
Well,
We probably don't want to hang around this place for too long.
Well, we don't know where our families are. We know where your family is.
Pretty sure, at least.
Kind of think we know where your family is. Do you want us to go after your
What do we
parents?
know?
I mean,
Last time
So
we
let's-
talked, they're like in captivity.
Say
Yeah,
we all like
I know
congregated
her.
into one of the rooms.
Yeah, you guys can, wake up, do your shit in the morning, get yourself all pretty and nice.
Yeah.
And
Do they have coffee in the thing? Yeah, that sounded interesting.
do you want?
just put him away for now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Gonna get my coffee.
Moonchild's barking in the lobby.
There's a lot of new people here.
Yeah. Day is yours, guys. What are you doing?
Discussing our plans.
What are we doing?
At dawn we plan, huh?
Does anybody need to stay here for a day or two? We have anything we need to get done?
Oh, did we get diamonds from?
I mean, he was supposed to leave the
Yes,
bag
you
out.
did leave the bag on your bedside table, and in the morning you find 600 gold worth of rough cut diamonds. If you, diamonds are, it's not easy to cut. I mean, you have jewelers kits and everything, but if you took
We have
taken some
adamantite
time,
tools.
yes, I
Oh,
would
doesn't
say
Prashani
through
have something
spellcraft
that
it would be
does
far
stuff?
easier to cut these diamonds, but through conventional means it's going to take some time. But it could very well improve their
Well,
value.
because she's got fabricate, I believe.
Yeah.
If she prepared it and she's willing to expend it, that's something that you guys would have to discuss among yourselves.
There was the purse from the church. There was a secondary purse that had 75 gold in it for her care or whatever needs to happen.
For Rupai.
Rupai?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not necessary. That's still there. That was not picked up because the agreement was that
You mentioned it.
right. The agreement was that Grey Glove was going to try to officially make her a ward of Steercrag.
Yeah.
So that she becomes the lordship's responsibility. It's like taking in somebody and then just being like, well, you are now a ward of the state, and so meaning government funds can be allocated to her care legally, and also she's a child. What does she need? It's gonna cost like 2 gold to take care of her for a month.
So you think?
Shows how much kids you had.
As far
All the
as
stuff they destroyed.
And the list of people that have been Anki aligned.
Oh yes.
yes, please and thank you. I actually want you to make that for me.
Okay.
If you can, and send that to me just so that I am. You know what? Do that. Why don't you add that to one of the Google Docs that we make, that we will have access to,
Who's on the Anki aligned?
so that can be edited and kept up to date.
And not just people, but also
You'll
all
probably find
biomass.
some random people that one of us will pick.
I can try and help you with that, Adam. If you would like.
Please and thank you.
That's a lot.
It's not that long.
No, but depending on
mostly-
how it propagates.
It was mostly corpses up until we got here. And then it started getting into live people.
Yeah. Started
Apart
with
from
that
how
one
many
gnome.
people Ankyline did himself.
Yeah. We don't know who else.
Ankyline did say he prefers dead things to
Yes.
live, so
Yeah, I think his preferences are changing.
Shosheni meets back up with you in the lobby after taking
talking
care of
about mice.
Moonchild.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. I mean, I get it. It's we have a bond. It's okay. It's all right.
She's very protective.
Yeah.
Do
yeah.
you need to stick around for anything?
Here?
Yes.
No, I mean I've got the home address as far as the rooms here. It's more so like if Mortanic would want to share anything else with me, but I highly doubt it, given the pushback otherwise.
Wasn't that going to be part of the payment? He was going to do the
We
thing.
weren't gonna
We
check
decided
in our
just
favor.
favor.
Yeah. So we'll save it for another day. Save his.
You
ass
can
again.
talk to him though if that's something you wanted to do. Try to get a hold of Armand Mortanic and see if you can get him other info from him.
seemed so put out even by doing it before, under like, you know.
He needs to stroke his ego, but
Yeah. I mean, we could try. It's up to you guys. We could see if he knows any other spots, because it could save us days of travel if I can know this for the future. I'm
But
still
you
cracking
don't-
the code.
yeah.
But,
I
you know.
don't think you have the ability to do it yet.
No, but, you know, everything takes time.
Well, we've only ever asked him directly. Has anybody tried flattering him to see if he would,
No.
talk about how smart and intelligent and how without him we can't do it? For some dumbass people that works.
I mean, you're pretty good at it. Do you want to give it a shot?
I mean, I can try.
Okay.
Can't guarantee anything. What exactly
You-
are we looking for?
Any sort of, spells for arcane, kind of like what we used for going out of here.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the runes, basically anywhere else on the continent would be fabulous. And you know what? I can go there with you. We can play oh, my wizard is so terrible, and I can be all pouty in the corner, and
I mean, I think one of the big things is going to be talking about how amazing they
Exactly.
are and how we can't do this without them.
Exactly. So, I'm just saying I can be your foil. That's all.
I get that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
How much raw silver do we have? Do we have 125 gold worth?
Worst comes to worst, we knock him out and just walk away with it.
I also do want to mention to you guys that technically, at the moment, you are in a period of downtime. You can take as much time as you like to do whatever it is you'd like to do. If you're intended to forge things, craft things, work on spell work, talk to certain people, research contacts, try to glean information. We have, kind of completed a bit of an arc, at least as much as you understand it. And the fact from what you have understood is, as far as that, that you have dropped several Dorkennen Rye, knew that other ones were going to be in hot pursuit to find out, and they're not here, in your face, right now,
95.
means that they don't want to be. So, and that's pretty clear because you understand that wherever they want to be, they usually end up because of their abilities, their powers, and the clandestine organization that runs them, the whole idea. So as you are deciding among what it is your next large moves are, you have shelter here. You have people that will look after you. You have people in power that you have favor with. You have a place to stay that is of high status. So if there's anything, I know it's been a while since you guys had a moment to be doing stuff like this. So if that's something you'd like to do now, that is, this would be a good time to do it. However, of course, if you believe that you are in a hurry to get somewhere else, that is also an option.
More in a hurry to get out of here so that certain people don't follow us back here. Or the troubles that normally find us don't befall upon these people.
So, as I have said before, y'all are smart enough to understand that if, at the very least, if the Dorkennen Rye wanted to pursue you and find you, they would have already been here, and you could have very well already been dead. You know how skilled they are. They could have killed you all in your sleep. They haven't.
I feel like what happened to our families was more they wanted to get at Emrys, and our families were collateral. They were in the way.
Or they meant something to him, so that's why he's protecting them. So to get more at him.
Go after those people.
Right.
Which technically would be true, because if they got injured, we would have some issue with Torteji.
Anyways, so it sounds like you guys have a couple of things to do.
I was considering making some holy water.
It's probably not a bad idea because that takes a bit of time, right?
Yeah,
for
it
you?
takes about an hour a vial.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
If you wanted to do that on hollowed ground as well, you're more than welcome within the several temples within the city limits of
How
Steercraft.
much did you say you wanted?
well, it's 25 gold of powdered silver each one.
So 75.
Yeah.
After we talk to Mortanic, I would like to talk with you about some of those portal things. I've got an idea for something.
okay. Yeah, sure.
So I made 3.
So,
Mage armor.
the way I mage armor, downtime, mage armor, not taking any chances. Love it. Assassins, mage armor. Okay, so here's what I'll say. As far as how I want to run this, I'm trying to be as efficient as I can possibly real time with this. There are going to be some scenarios which I would love to RP, especially like, for example, the conversation you're most likely going to have with Armand Mortanic. Conversations that you might have with the faction or whatever. Some, not so much. I mean, maybe some market, maybe some monger of some sort of material or item that you go sell to, maybe. But as far as things like, hey, I want to go do holy water, and then be like, oh, okay, yeah, of course, the temples are open to all. You can come in and use the services if you'd like. Do it on hallowed ground. It has more of a significance there. It's easier to do there. Doesn't mean that it costs any less. It's just feels like the right place to do it. That's fine. You just tell me how many hours you want to spend there. We do it. We move on. You spend the amount of silver that needs to be ground down easily enough. Things can be done. So between an artificer and a forger, y'all know how to grind coin down into its material components.
We actually had silver too.
Right. So I'm not, again, not something that I want to waste table time on as much, or I'm sorry, not waste, but spend table time on.
Worm poop holy water.
So it's best if we, it'll help me if we go around the table and be like, hey, this is what I'd like to do, yada yada, this is how long it may take, yada yada, and then we'll talk feedback, and then we will do that several times until everybody's like, okay, I feel like I'm satisfied, and we'll figure out how long that has taken. And we'll run through scenarios and role play scenarios as they come about. Does that sound okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So then let's do this clockwise. I believe the Trisheni, then you're up first.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to do with your spells, or did you want to deal with the meeting with Armand Mortanic, or was there something else?
I think 3 things. First
Okay.
one is just getting 30 more gold worth of incense and maybe 100 gold worth more of paper for spell writing.
Cool. So I will say, as someone who has the favor of the current Lord of Steercrag, you have staff members that can go out and do your shopping for you as long as they're given the currency needed to purchase the
Go
item.
get me some paper and ink.
Yeah, that's what it's like. So
Yep.
you guys don't have to go out and actually do the shopping yourself, meaning you can spend more time on doing what it is that you want to do. You have couriers that can take care of that are more than happy to help you, and Lord Chiron is more than happy to spend the manpower to do that for you. You have that type of favor here. So I want you to understand that for the foreseeable future, in perpetuity, as long as you're in Steercrag, you have staff that can take care of the mundane needs of everyday life, shopping, those types of things. All you need to do is mechanically spend the money, and you get the thing. If it's something that you think might be, is this going to be available here? That's something you'd ask me here, and I'd let you know if that something is available. Granted, you also then have people also being able to dig and try to find that information if it's difficult to find, hey, I need rubies, and we're like, well, you're underground in a place that is known for miners and military and everything, so not necessarily difficult to find. But if you wanted to go hey, I need a bushel of flowers that's only from the surface, that might take some extra digging. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but it might cost extra or otherwise. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. Cool. You want to get paper?
Paper and incense, and so I send my
Great.
personal courier to do that.
Done. You just then mark down how much money you want to spend on them, and then that is immediately transferred to that type of paper and ink, and you can just keep that in your inventory.
Excellent.
Done.
Second, of course, I'll bring Shakar back in a ritual in 10 minutes. Third would be going with my buddy Cole to go talk to Mortanic. And last would be whatever else is remaining in the day before we want to head out. I'd be using it to copy
Repeat the
spells.
the second one, the middle one for me again.
I bring back Shakar.
Oh, yeah, with the
In
incense
10
that you got.
in
yeah.
10 minutes,
So incense,
yeah.
ink, and paper is what you got. Great. And
Yeah.
then you want to do the scene. Cool.
And the scene, and then whatever else is left in the day.
Cool.
I'll
We'll
just
come back to
spend
the scene,
copying.
and then we'll come back to the scene when we do a second run around. Okay? Sound good?
And then helping
Great.
you out, too.
But that's going to be probably today on the 35th of High Lock,
Okay.
most likely, because you can do that while the people are shopping for your shit, because you don't need to spend any time doing that. Make sense?
Yep.
Cool.
Totes.
Or did you?
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry. Because you guys were doing the thing together, I forgot.
Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk to Mortanic, and
Sure.
then I'm gonna work on two of on my spells. Like,
Cool. Right. We'll do that after your talk,
Right.
I think.
Yeah,
because
that's
I
why
think
I
you
was
have to
just
work with her for that.
And yeah,
particular-
we're- sorry, I left that out
You
of
got
my
it.
to-do
Cool.
list.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would also like to get paper, but before I know how much I can spend on paper, I would like to find some kind of leather crafter to make a sheath for my cleaver.
Cool. Again, just something, hey, go find somebody to make me a sheath. And they just take care of it. I would say you can give somebody 5 gold and they'll take care of it.
And then I'll spend all the rest of my money on paper.
And then just remind me of all these things you're sending all the couriers back, because if I don't come back to you and say, hey, you got your stuff, I'll just do it now. You get your sheet. It's done. Like, you get it by the end, by like, in the next day or two, you get it. Like, and then so if you don't end up staying here for the next day or two, just remind me of that. But, because it takes time to do leatherworking, but it's also an order from the Fang, so it's something that pops to the top of the list as far as their to-do list on their, orders, if that makes sense. Cool? And then you wanted to do something.
So then whatever
You want to buy paper.
Yeah. So the rest of my gold, and platinum, I'll throw.
Yeah,
to
you don't
paper.
even have to let me know how much you're spending. Just keep track of it yourself. Mark off that much gold and transfer it to that value of paper.
Then I guess the question is if I want to work on another new spell or start.
The Fang has an agreement with the War College, pretty much saying any high quality paper that you have, we get first dibs on because we have to do a lot of official documents, and so we can't send. Official correspondence to Thilmore Bed on shitty paper. And they have a bunch of scribes that make paper from a certain mycelial weave they make it out of. So
So then the question is if there's other people who want to spend time teaching me spells. Otherwise, I'll just work on one of my other.
cool. That makes a lot of sense for why we're doing several rounds of this. Because cool. You good then?
Yeah, so then that'll be it.
I'm gonna spend 3 hours to make some holy water.
Okay, you're making like 3 vials of holy water. Cool. Is there a particular temple you'd prefer to do this in, or would you like to do it on like near one of the braziers?
I'd rather do it near fire, not in someone else's.
In the Fang Forge.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go to the basement of the Fang and do it near the forge.
You
And
use like the smelter to melt it and then grind it and then.
yeah,
create
you
in
you
the
throw it in
forge.
there. And I really like that idea because you actually take the glass vial filled with the water that you put the silver dust and everything, you dip it into the forge, and it should melt the glass, and it should boil the water to the point where it evaporates, but it doesn't, and it comes out. It's quite cool.
And then, if anyone else needs anything from me the rest of the day, I can teach you, I can do enhance abilities, I can do whatever.
Cool.
After that.
I will say then, that takes you 3 hours. What I'll say is that you will be indisposed for the time that they're talking with Armand. And other than that, you'll be free if you want to be with anybody else. I don't want to mess around with who's who and who's where because you guys are doing downtime. As long as you're not doing like lengthy activities, like I said, that take like 3 hours to do, you guys can be available to each other. Go ahead.
I'm helping him.
Okay.
I would have one errand. See if anybody can find a spatial bag for sale.
Of course.
A permanent one.
Let someone else do it.
You send out word, couriers come back kind of empty-handed, but there are some other members of the court now that are becoming as Chiron is very, very busy today, and he's getting a lot checked off his list. He's like, okay, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out, and kind of doing a pick of the litter as far as who should properly represent people, and he's taking the good moral compass of this Grey Glove to help out with this. There are a few other members in the court that kind of hear you like send out several couriers to see if they could find anything and say, and just kind of by scuttlebutt that you hear that probably the person to talk to for that type of thing is the court mage, or the Fang's mage, which is Armand Mortanic. Also, not they would know, but they said like good luck dealing with him. So if you would like to be present during their conversation with him, that's going to come up next. Would you like to be present for that?
Yes.
Okay. Then the rest of you are still doing what it is that you're doing. Okay? Sound good. Great. Eleazar appears to be kind of on his own little mission. I'd say probably hyper-focusing a little bit on pleased to meet you and trying to find out where they came from. And kind of keeping an eye and doing like lobby security for this area, but also, think in his head quite a bit, thinking of like, am I the bad guy? Am I the good guy? Am I following the right path? What's going on here? Adulty, you're so cute. I like you. You're so fluffy. You're so fierce. This is awesome. Well, let's do a couple laps in the yard, kind of like how John Wick was in the first movie after his wife died and his puppy died, and like a bunch of, or like he had the puppy still, and he's like running, doing laps with his car in the
Spoiler.
airport.
No, I'm joking. It's old as shit. But
It's
don't matter
from
anymore.
2014. If you haven't watched it already, not my problem. So yeah, it's working through some things, but also like probably a little bit on pleased to meet you, trying to figure some stuff out. Hasn't really found out too much, but is I would say not enjoying but preferring the lone wolf time right now, pursuing their own interests. However, if at any time you would like to sequester them as an aid for anything that it is you are doing, that's absolutely allowed. I can't imagine they wouldn't be amenable to that type of activity. Sound good? Cool. All right, so you guys make it to the Mortanic estate. Yes.
Before we go into it.
Sure.
Or at least before we go into the room where Mortanic is.
Sure.
I'm going to pull...
Right, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your interrupt, but I do want to mention that the only reason why he's at the manor, and that's where you have to go, is because Chiron's so busy taking care of the Carrick's request of having proper representation, and the council is not in session today. So Armand has not been seen within the Fang at all today. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Either before we go into the estate or before we go into the room where he is at the estate, I'm going to talk to Trishani and go over the proper way to act so she looks more pitiful.
You're going to give her an etiquette lesson?
Yes,
Like-
so that way I can give her an inspiration.
I understand. So you'd be like, hey, just act really shitty and like downtrodden. and crestfallen.
Did you ever have like a crappy teacher who used to hold up like a classmate above everybody else?
Yeah.
Actually, you were probably the one that was held up.
Yeah. I think yeah.
Do you remember how the other students used to look when you were held up like that?
Yeah. I've also had really crappy like lab partners.
Yeah.
So I need to be one of those.
Yes, you kind of need to be
Struggle
that kind
is
of,
real.
upset,
do all the work
down
for
on
them.
yourself kind of thing.
Okay. Also, just like a little too lazy and like really be like, oh, but you're so smart.
Don't play lazy, play more, you can't quite figure it out, and you need his brilliance to do it.
Okay. I just don't know what X equals here. What can you tell me? That like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
Okay.
Right.
So you teach her how to pander her to his ego,
Yeah,
is what you're doing?
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic.
with an inspiration to her, too.
So you teach her how to act the way the patriarchy has been trying to make the women act for all time, is what you try to do, right? Yeah.
Which I mean, I've been feral for like 3 years, so you know.
feral for 3 years.
Basically.
So you buy into the toxicity of the patriarchy.
I'm gonna leverage it for my
Leverage
advantage
it.
right now.
It's called manipulating the toxicity to your advantage.
I'm not putting my own values into my game at all. So anyway, you make it to the estate. You've been here, I believe, before, or at least passed by it.
Yeah, I think so.
You are recognized by the guards. They know who you are. You have a name around town. You are the Arcane Conundrum. You have helped put the current lord in power. Some of the guards are like, kind of like thing. But what you did was entirely fair, square, and they respect that and understand that, so they absolutely let you through. That is really important because you did it exactly according to their culture, laws, and traditions. So.
We saved Armand's life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
They don't know that.
No, Armand does though.
Armand does.
Armand
Because they weren't
wouldn't
there
have
when
shown
that all
weakness,
happened.
so nobody would know about
Yeah,
that.
he would never have admitted that to
makes
anybody.
sense. That
I mean,
makes
he'll
sense.
admit it to you probably, but he won't admit that to. He won't outwardly offer that information to, especially not any of his guard staff. He'll be like, "Yo, man, they saved my life. I'm so pitiful." He would never have done that. Yes, you make it within. It's a nice manor. It does have these nice stone and iron and steel, like rod gates. You make it through. Long story short, you are brought to the study of which he is pulling out books and referencing what appears to be old tradition and genealogy trees, doing the research that Pinjack told him to do, that Gregalov told him to do. And he's like, I'm very... right. His voice is old man, not with a Gaelic accent, if I remember correctly, right? Or,
It's been a little while. I don't remember.
yeah. I'm very, very busy. Well, what is it you want?
He's not too old. Yeah.
Great Mortanic. We have
He looks up from the book. You get a look up from the book with the spectacles down and the eyes like this.
we have a request to make. Our wonderful mage here is
I'm not wonderful. I mean,
she's not as brilliant as you are, and she would like your help with a problem.
I
And what problem would this be?
Well, you were so good with knowing how to send us to that place the other day. I was trying to figure out.
But a paltry spell, and they think nothing of it.
But I mean,
Although I will charge you the next time you try to make me do it.
I know, but I was trying to think through the math, and I can't. And I show him like, spell just some scrawlings. I can't quite.
Of just random scrawlings?
Random scrawlings.
Random arcane scrawlings?
Random arcane.
Perfect.
That's just like trying to do, geometry, but it's not.
For like a first level spell, like the very first. Cool.
And if you have somewhere that's like a circle on there but not complete, we'd be like, she's got this symbol here that she can't quite piece together. If you can, it's just
It's row. You just have to finish the circle around and then dice down the middle. And don't forget to bisect it across the horizon.
Oh, is that all? Gosh, I never.
This is like cantrip of Arcanum.
But
But what?
never taught me that.
Well, and weren't you trying to send something to this one before, and it wasn't going anywhere? Can you check this? Where was this supposed to go?
I was trying to send a nice bit of the mushroom from here to my dear papa.
Okay,
in
all right,
Bebas.
enough. And he closes the book. Like, I'll fix it. Just give me the thing. I'll fix it.
Okay.
Jesus, watching people struggle. It's just, and he just writes it and finishes it, and he like pretty much creates the Arcanum for the spell message. Like there, it's done. The runic work is very, very simple.
Oh, okay. Wait, will this
Is that
send?
it?
Wait, this sends with the piece of mushroom to my papa in Bebas?
No, it'll send a piece of mushroom. No,
Yeah,
it'll send a
just
message
like-
to them.
Oh.
You want to send physical material?
Just like how you
Yes.
did the other day for us, like when you
You
sent
want
us to.
a transportation spell.
Yeah.
You're looking for versions of conjuration magic and well, in a mixture of evocation. It's complicated.
All I can do is like wave my
you
swords
wouldn't
around.
understand, but I'll continue to mansplain to you if you ask me to.
Please explain.
Yes, please. It is fascinating.
Well,
I've never
I
heard
mean,
such a
And he enters this diatribe
gifted scholar.
of how some circles of magic actually shouldn't be classified in a certain way, but he has a better classification, and he pulls out a book of which I've actually been working on this myself, and he starts to flip through the pages. Where are you going with this?
I'm trying to get him to give me the address of either Bebas, Kamisk, or
I mean, so
Kerrigan.
he's fully bought into. He's your teacher.
Yeah.
At this moment. So you.
I'll
and then this
start
is my-
trying to do kind of like what he. Sorry, go ahead.
No. He's like, well, this is again, conjuration and evocation actually shouldn't be what they are. Some evocation things shouldn't be evocation. Some conjuration things should be, well, not necessarily evocation, but perhaps transmutation. It's a highly inefficient system. So I have created my own 10-tier system, of which I've actually organized in about a 15-hour lesson plan among several months, of which, I could go over with you if you're actually interested. I've been meaning to bounce these ideas off of people, but so many people don't have the mental capacity to actually engage in such an intellectual conversation. And although I believe that, as you have proven to me, perhaps not the same, at least you're something better than the people that surround me in this daily life. You're at least better than Megara and her boot, who's always threatening to put it on my face, as if I did have the great complexion that she was jealous of.
He's one of the best lecturers I've ever seen.
I know. I wish I had one of
thank
you
you.
at the
He
college.
he
At my
swifts his
college.
beard. Thank you.
So like,
I have to admit, he's probably among like one of the top 3 lecturers that I've seen at the college.
Well, now I wouldn't say that. I haven't worked for the college in years. I'm a bit rusty.
so could I flip through your lesson just real quick and try
Could
to
we get the
figure it out?
chalkboard, please? Yes.
Okay.
Let's bring out the slate. We'll begin this lecture. Prost haste. Well, let's start like where we started before. Let's start with the rune Rho, right? So again, bisected across the horizon, full circle finish, but at the end, always leave room for the next rune, because I'm sure, as a student of Arcane, recognize that runes need to be connected to other runes in uncertain configurations. However, most of Arcanum is connected to 2-dimensional runes. But what if we do this? And he casts like a minor illusion spell, and he pulls an illusion of the runes moving out against the chalkboard, and then he spins them. If we orient them in a 3-dimensional configuration, we can reach exponentially higher levels of Arcanum.
Interesting. So what's really interesting is that Trisheni understands how all this works.
Oh,
but she's
you
never
do
been
4-dimensional geometry in your head.
But she's never been taught the theory behind it.
Yes.
So it's like learning the theory, being a brilliant jazz musician, but never learning
how to read music.
Right.
And learning how to read music,
Right.
exactly, like learning through like lead sheet and just by rote notation.
Right. So as
and then
frustrating
actually-
as this is for her to just be like, oh yeah, she is kind of learning some things.
Cole's trying to hide his complete lack of comprehension, like so that way he
Here,
doesn't
roll
know.
deception check.
Okay. Hey.
Hey.
You know why? I'm not proficient in it.
You and
22.
Argus.
22. Yeah, you are. I'll say, go ahead, roll a deception check as well.
I mean, I am kind of learning things though.
I understand,
Okay.
but you're still acting pretty stupid.
That's,
You're trying
an
to
inspiration if you
feign
need it.
fascination in
I will
something that
need it.
you do already know. It's like going to a different school and they teach a certain method of math one way, and you already know how to get the answer. And so it's be like, oh yeah, that's really cool, and I'm like, shut the fuck up, I don't need to show my work.
5.
Need your fun
5.
trick. We
With
can
the
get there without
inspiration. I'm not.
With the inspiration.
She rolled 2 1s.
Oh
No,
my.
I rolled a 3 and a 1.
A 3 and a 1. Okay.
And then I have a +1 for
Oh,
my
it looks like a
deception.
1 from where I was at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's drawing in a notebook like a more complicated spell.
That's exactly what's going on. So
thrilled.
actually, you kind of fail forward on this one, because this is actually really interesting.
Because I'm doodling like what I'm trying really good
Because he
at.
rolls a natural 1 in insight to try to figure out what the fuck is actually going on. And we go like, yes, that's it exactly. In fact, you've skipped ahead. Wait, no, my medicine plan. You've skipped ahead. You skipped ahead.
But
No,
see,
no.
now you know how to like put that in your footnote for like people that are actually super.
Oh, that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
An advanced track.
Take a note. Take a note. Yes, write it down.
Abbreviated lecture notes.
Yes. We'll do an abridged version for those. You know what we'll do? We'll split it into certain tracks, and we'll actually recommend each track depending on how smart someone is, and we'll keep them in that track in perpetuity, because knowing people don't get any smarter than the way they were born. Yeah, let's do that.
Never. Okay. Excellent.
Sounds like public school.
My values are not interplaying into my campaign at all, or my viewpoints or opinions.
Don't
So,
you just will the magic to do what you want and it does it? Isn't that how it works?
You're not here.
No, he
wait,
is.
You are here. Fuck, I forgot.
He's just been being quiet this
Yeah.
whole time.
I mean, I usually build something and I like just want it to do something so hard.
Artificery is a different creature entirely. You use runic magics, but your medium is already three-dimensional. You want to
That's true.
understand?
Yes.
We have to deal with the two-dimensional and do three-dimensional. Yes, exactly. So there's a whole other dimension of thought that has to exist here. You just fucking
knows
do
how to
it.
do that.
It's like you're cheating, actually, is what's happening. So, like,
Can I
you're.
put three-dimensional runes on three-dimensional objects?
I mean, you could put a plunger up your butt for all I care.
Question: is there a way to create like tears between one place and another place that don't involve the runes?
Do you
Called
mean?
divine magic.
You're not here.
You mean well? Not all arcane magic is runes. Some is feeling, and actually, once we get to the higher levels of arcanum, it has to do more with actually, well, convincing the universe to do what it is that you want it to do. Now, many different mages deal with this in different ways, whether it's actually having an argument with the universe or just portraying certain or imposing certain rules with runes and other languages and scriptures upon the universe that it is created to follow. Imagine, like, I prefer to code rules that the universe then must follow, and the way the universe has transformed once it becomes the end of the maze of those rules is exactly what it is that I want.
No. It's a melody that you put harmony on top of to make it work the way
Yes,
you
right, 'cause
merge
you're
it
of a
together.
college. Oh, goodness. That's so emotion has its own power in the universe that I don't necessarily want to buy into, because emotion has a bunch of variables that are unpredictable, and I prefer a far more predictable result. So I want to do the thing, and it does the thing,
But-
and that makes sense. That's called wizardry.
Isn't
thank you,
music
thank you.
also harmonics though and mathematical?
Technically,
it
there
be?
is something to be said that harmonics do relate to mathematical powers of magnitude. Yes, it is
Okay.
true. The music and other forms of art do have some sort of mathematical equation to them. However, we're getting into more of the esoteric.
We've gotten you off track.
Sorry,
No,
sorry.
it's all right. I don't mind having an intellectual conversation. We're getting to more of the esoteric symbolism of what something actually represents than what it actually is. I prefer 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 3, well, sometimes 4, depending on what you do with the rune. Get the joke? Yeah, she got the joke. Wonderful. And of course, you didn't get the joke
This
because you
hurts
don't do it that way.
me.
You just
It
take
always
2.
equals 4.
No, you just take 2 squared. It's different.
Yes.
It's
It's always
different.
4.
You've been to the college. You know how our math works. 1 + 1 = purple. It's just how
This
it
is what
works.
I mean by they're cheating. They just take it and they just... Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, where was I?
1 + 1 = purple.
No.
She was
that
skipping
me.
ahead.
That's
rune-
actually
yes.
interesting. That's next week's lesson.
She was skipping ahead, so you were catching up
Right,
to
because I
where she
like
should
was
be.
Yes, of course.
trying to figure something like I was trying to apply it, and is this right?
Well, technically, conjuration can be meddled in that because I believe you're trying to send that mushroom about. The basis of conjuration is that technically, if you've ever heard of like quantum theory, is that technically everything exists in every place at the same time. It's just whether or not we can perceive it and interact with it. So the actual basisness of conjuration or transportation or any type of teleportation is not actually moving something from one place in the universe to another place of the universe, but just making it non-interactable in one spot in order to balance the equation of making it interactable in another spot. You actually exist in the place you want to go already, but your atomic structure has not coalesced yet to be part of an interactable form.
This gives me an idea for a spell. Just let you know. Just later.
Is he talking about Enkiadine?
This is something that we would refer to
He's in
as
2 spots at
quantum
once.
entanglement. Now, quantum entanglement is another type of, we're not going to get into quantum theory just quite yet. In fact, it's one of the higher, we call it the gifted course, the gifted track in the War College, and then I believe there's only one person enrolled in it, and it's myself. So I like to teach myself. Sometimes it's therapeutic. So, as far as sending a mushroom to your friend, for it to be the exact type of mushroom, Technically, it does exist. However, sometimes science is more of an art than science, especially when it comes to quantum physics.
So it's not necessarily the location that you have to put in. It's more of like unlocking
It's
the quantum time bit.
It's about letting the universe make space for that object in a different, space.
Interesting.
The only reason why some actually researchers believe that the only reason why physicality exists where it exists is because the universe recognizes it. Like Schrodinger's principle, it doesn't exist until it's observed, or it is both there and not there until it's observed. So rather than it being actually there because it is there, we are only products of our own mind, and we can only see what we perceive. Everything is a dream. Existence is all a dream. Everything is observation. So the universe itself has its own observation, and if we see a mushroom, the universe allows it to exist, but if we don't see it, it's like a forest. If a tree drops in the forest, does anybody hear it? Does it actually make a sound? No, it doesn't. It actually doesn't. It's proven. It doesn't make a sound because it doesn't exist until it's observed. But the universe itself is an observational entity. The universe is alive. And so if you force the universe to believe that something is somewhere else than actually how you perceive, the universe is going to win out every single time. And for your perception is going to be overridden by the universe's perception. So conjuration magic convinces the universe that as everything exists in every single place, all at the same time, and in multiple dimensions and infinite possibilities, that mushroom is in your uncle's or your father's, or I don't do family, in that relative's hand at that particular moment, and will always be there. But the universe is observing it there, so it makes space for it to exist.
So how do you make it so that it's not just...
You make
just
rules.
make up.
I make rules.
Do you make it up?
I force the universe's perception into a maze of if then, if this, then that statements, or do while loop statements of coding, of rules that then force it to believe through arcanum and straining and training and Pavlovian conditioning to make sure it makes space. So its only recourse, if the universe wants to continue existing, is to allow it for space in that place.
Okay.
Others create harmonic resonance and all this other things and convince the universe. Others argue with the universe. I prefer not to leave things to chance.
So you burn out the CPU instead? The universe?
That is actually a good way of looking at it. I don't know what a CPU is, but I assume you mean some sort of processing unit.
Right, like central...
Technically, the universe's actual mind and processing unit is as big as it actually needs it to be, because it can create things on its own and is constantly expanding. But yes, technically, yes. But then we also have to factor into our calculations the existence of other dimensions and realms that also exist. So like the planes. Sure. Specifically, let's talk about the ghostly plane, the ethereal, as what it's called, actually exists on top of what we exists. And it actually is there. It is the definition of the quantum entanglement theory. It exists there, but it is not entirely interactable, even though it is observable.
So is it like the number I?
It is, yes. It's an imaginary plane. And the only reason why it exists, and we recognize that it exists because we recognize that the imagination exists. And the universe, of the belief of enough of our dreamers that has believed it exists, have caused it to become a quasi-reality.
So I have to talk to Log.
If everything
You're a cheater. I don't want to hear from you.
No. I have a question. Logical.
Of course you have questions. I'm so much smarter than you.
If everything exists in all possibilities at all times.
Sure.
And a tree falls in the forest, didn't someone witness it, and therefore it made a sound?
The universe did.
So a tree falling in the forest does make a sound, whether it's observed or not, because someone observed it somewhere.
Yes, so this is what I was talking about, how we get into the catch of like the universe is omnipotent, ever-present, omniscient, that whole idea. Yes, it is observed by the universe, therefore it makes a sound. But imagine the universe wasn't an actual thinking being, and we were only... Our existence is only defined by what we are actually able to see and observe through our brain and our senses. We will never actually be able to experience the universe in its purest form. Ever. We don't know what actual reality is. We only know what our senses give us. We'll never know what it's what. I'm sorry. Yes.
Professor Martanik, can you? So I'm having a hard time visualizing the theory of this. Could you do an example that's for like showing? So like,
sure.
For example, could you do any one of these? Like, either because I want to send the mushroom to my papa, or do you're home place, right? Like, Kimisk, you know? Just an example of how you would actually like get somewhere like this.
Demonstration.
Yes, please.
Of course. Let me check my notes. Make sure. It's been
We
a while
were
since I
we
said
were
things.
fairly hurried yesterday. We didn't get a chance to really observe your brilliance then.
Right.
That's all right. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Let me look at my... No, not that one. Banana pudding. It's been a while. Okay, there we go. All right. Specifically, you were talking about either to the north or to the east.
Right.
All right.
Yes.
I have someone. I do have the glyph to boss. It is it's an old one. I'm not sure if it still works. It was catalogued back during the actual birth of the Razor Fang Agreement, when
I mean, not
your
much
people were
changes in the
considered
law.
refugees.
We'll say that. That's
I
been
don't
going
know
on for
what
thousands of years.
what magics they work with when it comes to protecting them from that wandering curse. I'm not sure if how it will affect this type of thing.
Okay.
There are membranes and semi-permeable and permeable. Magic is only what we believe it to be. So if someone's belief is stronger than someone else's, it gets convoluted.
I'm
and
sure
if
with
someone's
your-
rules are stronger, someone heads up on top of the stack.
I'm sure your dual loops though are so much stronger than
I do
their
try
beliefs.
to account for every possible. That's why I do that. That's why it takes me ages to create a single spell, because I make sure that no matter what, it always succeeds and it overrides whatever anybody else is going to do. Although someone came up with a pesky spell called Counterspell that no matter what you do, you cannot account for it.
Oh, really?
It basically just it injects paradoxal rules into your spell making to cause it to fail.
I'm pretty sure during the trials I casted counterspell on him at some point, so I'm trying to play just real cool right now.
Okay, cool. Roll deception check.
Yeah, you did.
15.
Yes, it's a curse. It haunts me. Whenever it's important and I'm trying to push myself forward in life, it comes back. Instead of saying if this, then that, it says if, then that. And that destroys the whole thing.
But have you ever tried going back at it with its own medicine?
Medicine?
Well, not medicine. I mean, like, you know.
Have you ever tried to counterspell a counterspell?
Right.
Oh yes. I'm actually in the process of working an automatic counterspell. Not a firewall,
Interesting.
as it were, to my coding.
Oh, okay.
But, speaking of coding, so going back to the
Unfortunately,
example.
my entire library is actually full of the entire code. It looks a bit of a brilliant mind in there, so we're not going to get into that room. But
Sure. The example. You said
yes, of course.
'cause you had to,
I could send something if
I mean, like I
if
said,
their transportation glyph is still intact and I can still transport things through their barrier, it should work. I do have the transportation glyph for Kamisk as well. I also have one for the capital of the Protectorate. And where would you like to send something? I could send a message to one of my contacts there to say, hey, I'm receiving this thing. Send me back a message to see if it's received. Better yet.
Yeah.
What was your name again?
Trisheni. Ankmut? What? That's my name.
Sure, okay. I mean, I don't need to know it. I need the other person to know it. All right.
Doesn't the other person already
Sending
know it?
you something. No, wait. Scratch that. As you see, like the magic. Pull back. Where did you want to send it? You said your.
I was thinking my papa, but if do you guys have any preferences? Do you know anybody in Kamisk or the capital, the protectorate?
The only one I know of in Kamisk is our friend.
Okay, we don't do indecision here, so I'm just going to send it to the boss.
Okay.
All right. Right. Okay. Sending you a mycelial sample. Please respond back once you have received to a one McVenny
Trisheni Ankh.
Trisheni
Moot.
Moot
It's not hard.
of the Mahitan persuasion.
Yeah, I'm Mahitan.
Silver nose, purple dress, slight build, average looking.
You too, buddy.
You say that to him?
Under my breath.
He sends a message out. Great, wonderful, they're ready to receive. So, this is good. This takes a minute. No, quite really a minute. Let's move over here. As he
Okay.
just kind of like moves one of the tables aside and kicks some of the books away. Like, we don't need those as a catalog of manga anyway. All right, so we're going to take the runes and we're going to take the three-dimensional imposement of them and just imagine you're taking something three-dimensional
Okay.
that can collapse. But rather than push it and then squish it and get some distorted bits, you're actually going to take it and flatten it from one direction and then the other direction. So it actually lays flat, like when you press a flower. It's
Okay.
not just straight down. You align it to a way that it actually ends up looking kind of pretty. That's what we're going to do with this. We have to impose three-dimensional glyphs upon a two-dimensional space.
So it's like taking the derivative.
So why don't you take the first run around,
Okay.
and I'll do some of the details.
All right.
Go ahead and roll an Arcana check.
You can do it, Trisheni.
21.
21. You know what you're fucking doing. You are pandering to this individual at the moment.
I just want the fucking final coordinates.
Yeah.
You know,
he's
like,
so he begins to go like, "Oh, wonderful, good job. Don't forget to just try not to."
Oh,
get-
sorry, my
no,
my
it's okay. It's
first
just
smidge,
it's
smudged
helpful to
ink,
use a
yeah.
compass sometimes. You
Oh.
know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we don't want mistakes like that. If you do the wrong thing, you'll end up there without a leg, and that's not good. And, yeah. It's all right. You're learning. It's your first time. No worries.
That's
We'll
totally
figure it
my
out.
first time.
And then he starts to fill in a bunch of the other bits as he starts to draw in chalk and like this bright blue chalk on the floor. This convoluted magical circle of symbols and glyphs and runes. After a minute, it is finished. Is this something that you wanted to?
oh, I'm copying it down as quickly as I possibly can.
Okay, cool. You're paying attention as you pull up and copy it down.
Yeah, each of the symbols as he
doesn't
writes
take
it.
a whole lot of time between actually using it, finishing it and using it. So I want you to do me a favor. I want you to roll a sleight of hand check to see how fast you're able to copy this thing down. Cole and Zemdak, you're there, and you do notice Trisheni furiously scribbling.
10.
10. Like, all right, so once we do this thing disappears, and then we
15.
sit. 15?
Well, he gave me.
Flash of genius.
Oh, flash of genius. Okay.
I'll go over and I'll be like, nope, nope, nope.
Thanks.
You just have like 3 hands on the same piece of paper. It goes like, so once I do this, I'm going to do it in just a moment. It's going to disappear because a bunch of the magic consumes
okay.
three-dimensional runes and everything.
Yeah.
We don't have to really worry about taking notes and everything. This isn't something you'll really need to know, at least for another couple of years. So
It's so that I can get your autograph on it later.
don't worry about it. It's like one of the professors that just like erases the board when people were still taking notes. That's like kind of what he's doing. So he was like, okay, we'll take. Thank you. He takes one of the mushrooms from one of the trays of one of the staff members. So there we go. We're going to send that to. Now, technically, the way this spell works, not a creature. Doesn't work, really, not, unless it's being held by somebody. So what we're going to do is actually going to send it with a tag-along. Well, I like to talk a tag-along. And we're just going to send it with this little, shroom rat right here. Yeah, that little guy.
Okay.
Well, not very smart. He's nibbling on it. Okay, we should probably do this before he eats it. All right. I don't say goobity goobity gooks works. I just make it. Sometimes I just make up my own words to make it sound like I'm doing something because it's more impressive that way. If people know you didn't need to speak in order to do these types of things,
So don't.
I would never have a voice in the Council of Commons.
Don't need to speak. As I continue just scribbling down as fast.
Well, I mean, the word it does need to speak. It just needs to doesn't need. You know what? That doesn't matter.
Magic secret.
Then he activates the circle and the shroom chat disappears.
Fascinating.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you. Little low, quick, slow on the draw, but thank
Sorry,
you.
I was.
We were just so
My hand's cramping.
we were just
Amazed.
in such awe of you for your
Oh, wonderful. You receive a message in a moment. This message is for someone. I cannot read this handwriting of what it is that it's to put here. A mushroom received and rat. Good job.
That circle apparently.
I'm going to kill the rat now.
Thank you. Watch out for Rasputin's mischief. I guess it came through. That was amazing. He had kind of a thick northern accent, but
I'm
should-
trying.
is it? Did they go to the right place? You think then? Mighty
If you got a
Mortanic?
response that it went to the place I was supposed to, that's
Okay.
wonderful. At least I know that my
most of
boss
us
circle still
Northerners
works.
Don't hang out there if we can help it.
That's what I was meaning. I was very surprised.
Great, wonderful.
Okay.
I am. Well, I am exhausted. So I believe that's it for the lesson for today.
Well, thank you so much.
What do you want, Cheetah?
We are about to hit the road again, and I thought perhaps a family as old and as established as yours might have some trinkets laying around that you no longer use.
No.
Spatial items that can carry more than normal.
I use everything I have. I'm like, I don't think you understand. It takes a lot to keep this lifestyle. Like, you know,
Well-
every time somebody in one of my properties, every time rent, like those payments for to keep the upkeep of those properties go up, I have to then raise the rent of those properties in order to just stay in the black. Like, you know, this is like I'm a working person just as much as the next, and I got to where I am through grit, spit, and stick-to-itiveness, and a lot of trust funds.
But since we're going to be traveling, though, what if we can find you some unique things that you don't necessarily have and send them back to you? Would that help with things?
What did you have in mind?
Well, we come across all sorts of weird things when we're traveling. I mean, and I pull out my new whip and show it to him, like, this came from some weird cephalomorph worm.
That's gross. Put that away, please.
But I'm saying, we come across things like
I
this
know,
that
and
could
I'm
be
saying,
useful.
please put that away. It's gross. It's grossing me out. Wonderful. I could always use something interdimensional. I'm always looking to advance that type of technology, and
I just thought
if you,
when
if
it
you
came to
travel across
artifacts-
planes, that would be great.
I just thought when it came to artifacts, if anybody knew, you would.
Well, I mean, I have a few, but why?
I was looking for one to help our group travel.
How
Moonchild,
would
stop.
one of those
So we can carry things easily.
get that dog off the window?
I'm looking to carry things easier. And I know that
Okay, get bigger.
I
Cheater.
know bags exist that can carry more than they should.
Yeah, don't you have one?
I don't.
Oh, really? That thing you're carrying isn't one?
No.
You know what these do? Automatic detect magic, motherfucker.
Okay.
Yeah, made them myself.
He's got goggles.
This
like
is a
yours.
mundane. This is a mundane bag.
You have a bag of holding.
It's infused to be a bag of holding. It's not an actual
Don't
bag of holding.
fuck with me. It is magical.
And you would have to touch it and identify it to know that.
That's not true.
I actually believe it is.
I don't care what it says. That's not fucking true. Absolutely not. That's not how that works.
This is a temporary enchantment. It only works as long as I continue empowering it. I was looking for a permanent one.
And you're telling me this because...
I thought perhaps if anyone in this town would know of one for sale, it would be you.
Well, I have a few, but they're not for sale.
Thank you for your time.
He wants to cheat better. Can you help him cheat better that way?
Why would I help him cheat better? He needs to go back to school and learn the actual fundamentals. I mean, look, if you have any sort of interdimensional material that I can use, perhaps we can come to some sort of agreement.
I mean, I have something from down below. It is from a different
I'm sorry?
plane.
From where?
Down below.
Well, I mean,
The deep under?
Mm-hmm.
that's where I got this whip.
It is from a different plane.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean more...
It's not from a different plane, but what about materials from the moon?
You mean the things that float up in the sky?
Yes.
You're kidding.
No.
No.
There's no way you've been to the moons.
The
And back
smallest moon I have in my bag.
You don't have the You do not have Bezer in your bag.
He has little bits of
MCL.
dust from Bezer.
You have MCL in your bag.
I have dust from MCL in my bag.
How?
Does he look like a man who can lie?
How? Roll persuasion.
Nope.
I'm about,
4.
10. There's no way you have dust from it. How could you possibly have gotten to MCL? No one's left the atmosphere. What?
I pull out a bag of moon dust and I show it to him.
It looks like gray dust.
What does this dust do again, if I remember correctly?
It's moon dust. It gives you temporary hit points.
I was gonna potentially cut myself and throw it on, but that's not what it does. So never mind.
How?
Harvested from the moon itself.
How?
I mean,
Yeah, magic.
well, if I tell you my tale now, then you don't buy the book later.
Even if you could fly all the way up there and you kept casting the spell,
no,
you'd
no.
suffocate before you exit the atmosphere.
It was brought down to here for a very short moment.
if
The
I tell you
moon
now,
MCL
Not the whole moon.
floated down
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
into
whoa,
the
whoa, 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 whoa.
atmosphere. You took a measuring cup and scooped it out and put it in your bag.
Not the
What,
whole
Tanic,
moon.
I have
and
a question
nobody else
for you.
saw this.
no.
Tanic, I do have something to ask you.
I'm a
You just
king.
talked to us about your money and everything like that. Why am I going to tell you the story now when it'll go in the book later and you can buy the book?
I mean, surely somebody.
Because this part of a transaction?
Surely somebody of your stature knows how to
We're
do
a
the
group
identify.
of cheaters. You acknowledge this yourself.
Yes.
But if
We brought it to us, collected some of its dust, and it went back to how it was.
So you teleported it here?
It teleported
We
here
willed it.
somehow.
We willed it here.
we didn't understand until your lesson today when you told us about this quantum mechanics. You know, and just the moon could be here and there, and it was really because of our one friend who thought the moon could be here.
Believed it with all of his
I didn't think of
brain.
roll. Okay, persuasion.
But seriously, identify it. I'm sure it's still the moon.
Oh!
Nice, good.
Nat 20 for a total of 31.
31.
I'm
So
not
you got him
bad.
thinking. So you start talking about, like, no, we willed it here. It's like we brought it here, and he's like, and he starts thinking. I didn't think about quantum entanglement when it comes to things like outside our sphere of influence. I mean, there's a reason why we have a bunch of spheres existing in the same space. That's why there's a bunch of things that's why everything exists in every place. That's why the planes exist in every place. That's why all these other things. That's why we have the deep under. But to go outside of our actual sphere of influence and interact with one of our moons, to actually relocate its space to within without causing catastrophic damage, you would have to do it.
I don't believe
How?
I don't believe our friend understood or even believed that spheres of influence were a thing.
He just wanted the moon to be in his room, and it was.
Right.
And while it was there, I took advantage and collected some.
He started fires this way before. Like,
I love things this way.
I know, but I'm trying.
Give me. And he like casts identify on it.
See?
Did I get the moon name right?
I don't.
No. Bezel is the bigger moon. Amciel is the smallest. It came from Log's moon, so I don't know what actual.
Oh, it was
moon-
MCL. It was MCL. The smallest moon. Yeah.
It came from Logs.
Yeah.
Came from one of Log's moons.
Log moon.
Just
Pulls down a pen.
It's a random thing I
That's
thought.
his name. Log's moon's just made out of his butt.
I just called it the smallest moon because it was the smallest moon.
He's a bit of a flat butt.
Because he lost
Made
part
out
of
of
his
butt
nose.
Would that be something you were interested in?
He like he's goes wide-eyed as he's casting the spell. He's like, wait a second, and he like cleans his fingers and he takes a moment
Don't know if my moon does.
and like fix himself and he casts the spell again. I don't believe you, but this is real. I don't know how you got it, but I want more.
Unfortunately, that is half of all that we were able to gather.
I don't know how we get more.
But if we go along on our travels with the bag that he is speaking of, we may be able to find more or other things like this for you.
I'll make you a deal.
Let us seal the deal.
If you're so interested in teleportation, conjuration magic, you teach yourself it while I study this. I'll give you my book of all my locations that I have recorded over the years. And I'll give you a prototype that I made of a storage hole. Small one, but it'll work. It's not quite the same size as what most are used to. For your whole supply.
It's up to you, my friend.
Deal. I'll pull the other sack out.
Thank you, Cheetah. Here. And he just throws the book at you. Throws the book at you.
Yeah.
You catch everything. My attendant will take care of you on the way out. Get them prototype C3, please. Thank you. I'm sorry. No, C4. Thank you.
I think you need both.
C3 is not ready. Haven't even figured out a name for that one.
The other is still C4.
Shame.
So,
She's not here.
Fantasy for.
you were given a book. Within it
All the locations.
has the locations of several major cities of teleportation glyphs.
This was worth 20 temporary.
Are you, yeah.
It really was, honestly.
You don't know what the fuck this guy's gonna do with fucking a regolith from the smallest moon, but I'm so excited to have this happen.
Actually,
You are given to save time because we've role played the thing. You are given a miniature, for all intents and purposes, what is a miniature portable hole. It is something that is only 1 foot in diameter. Which as you're kind of messing with it, can be stretched to up to 2 feet, but to the point where it also gets thinner as you stretch it. It's like kind of flexible, but you would be hard pressed to fit an individual within this hole. This is for mostly things. Sorry. You would be able to fit lithe individuals could kind of like stretch their way within it if you would like. But yes, it has the same interior dimensions as a portable hole. The opening is only 1 foot in diameter, which can become 2 feet if it's stretched to like being that super thin thing, which becomes kind of a slit that it's like kind of spandexy fabric. One of the reasons why this is so small is because it can be put on any surface, not just a flat surface, but also a wall, and it kind of flops onto there just with that kind of like static electricity cling.
Roll it up.
Yeah, you can roll it up. It's easy. It's very, very easy to carry with you. It's weightless.
10 feet deep.
It is 10 feet deep. So it's a 10 feet by 1 foot cylinder within, which is a little more spandex, so it can it's like one of those Force Flex trash bags. So it can contain more than that, but at some point.
But you got to get it through the hole first.
You got to get through the hole first. So at maximum, something in 2 dimensions, and so for example, if something that's 2 by 2 by 2, you wouldn't be able to fit through this because it is 2 dimensions and 2 feet in 1 dimension. And there's no real orientation that, even though it can stretch and move about, you can't get it to be a 2 foot hole. It's got a 2 foot diameter hole. It's got to give in some sort of direction. It does have some flex, but it's meant for a lot of storage of things.
Tortesi in it.
You could fit Tortesi in there if you work together to stretch it and put it around them, because he's a very lithe individual. Also. Especially if you put his hands above his head and did something like this.
You could put it over your.
But other than that,
chest.
Dwarves could not fit in here. Gnomes, perhaps. Humans, perhaps. Maitan, perhaps. Bugbears, probably not. Dragonborn, Drakesh, probably not.
Yeah.
Twinkie humans.
Yes. You got very twinky humans. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Those type of things. But any portly individual, no way. Anything that's super, super big. But yes, this would be a great thing for a bunch of gems, gold, long, thin things. Anything that you put in there like that, and can carry a shit ton of stuff.
Cool. Thank you.
So it's up to you. You figure out, because I assume you want to start redistributing things that are in within your bag and this hole. So make sure you have that all done, because I am not responsible for that.
Oh no, I've got a spreadsheet with my whole inventory.
Good. So why
on
don't you
it.
take care of that? Because I know your bag is getting quite full.
Yeah.
Guys, that was totally worth acting for 2 hours with my voice pitched higher, just so he wouldn't be as intimidated by me.
Oh yeah, no,
and
you did great. You
You
did not show that you were the really strong, intelligent woman that you actually are.
Thank you. I mean, that was, but
And here's a trophy
thank you.
for that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that book is officially a trophy for tricking him.
I seriously, this is fabulous. Thank you for giving up the moon dust. Drinks on me. I don't even have much money left, but I don't care.
I still got some money.
And we got all of his locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean this is. Stop at the nearest tavern.
I'm gonna go
This
help
needs
Argus
to be
out.
celebrated.
Okay, so you guys know, as you're flipping through here, you recognize some of these locations as they are marked. You have the capital of the Protectorate. These are locations that go into ambassadorship locations. The only one that isn't is the one that goes into Thulmore Bed, because only members of the Triumvirate and their aides can go within the Aetherveld. There's a reason why it's actually physically separate from the rest of the Thulmore Bed. They are very paranoid about that stuff, and for good reason.
You still got the token though, don't you?
Huh?
Did we give it back to?
Yeah. Do we ever give the token that they gave you to say that you were part of the council? Did you ever give that back?
I never gave it back.
So we have.
Why would I
The
give
council
that back?
for
I mean, it was
You're correct.
You said this was for ambassador kind of.
It was gray gloves, right?
Yeah.
yeah, no, you still have that. Granted, I mean that's still afforded to you. You're still in good standing.
Yeah.
So, so you have the transportation glyph to the Ferris Archives. Transportation glyph to, I believe it's the Lord's Quarter of the capital of the Protectorate. Meaning actually within the Lord's manor, of which there is a transportation glyph. Transportation glyph to the ziggurat in Babas, of which has the the higher ups and the royal authority there.
Sure.
The transportation glyph to the staff lounge of the university in Toulay, or at least just that there's another partition, kind of how some academies have an attached temple, for worship and religion. Think of it like that. It's like an annex. It's like a transportation glyph annex of within the university within Tule. These are all official ambassadorship transportation. So some cities have more than one, especially the larger the city. Especially these cities most likely have more than one. These are big major cities across the continent. These are ones meant for political emissaries to go, rather than go within the public and then have to trudge through all the nonsense. They're teleported to where it is they need to go and then just are escorted by couriers within already the upper class, if that makes sense. All right. That also means going there unannounced and them not knowing where you are could be a big problem.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. Hey, we're supposed to be here. You're gonna arrest it immediately. There's also one to the. It's called the Palace. Here, I'm gonna have it right here.
I did not expect that to turn out as well as it did.
Yeah, I know.
There's one to Ronkami Palace.
Rom-commy?
Ronkami Palace.
Okay.
Rankami. Ronkami Palace. This is not the seat of power, but the it is where the northern dynast of the Twin Isles resides.
That's what I thought.
You see there's a page torn out that right after that, which you assume was supposed to be of the southern dynasty. It is no longer here.
Okay.
There's more.
Yeah, there
There's
is.
got to be at least a list, right? This guy's got to go to.
There is a
Let's go to rave.
there is a transportation glyph for. It just says Luwamba, no
Okay.
specifics. As far as I don't, who spent time on the Luwamba Dominion? Roll a history check for me.
History was not my biggest study at the college. so-
13.
13. From your brief and time you were there for like a couple months, I think, moving throughout. What do you understand as far as the like caste system there is that there kind of not is one, or at least they try to not keep it separate as much. From what you've heard as far as like idioms that move around, the lowest class of people, whether it be socioeconomic or otherwise, are allowed free reign within the palace. If there is a palace, that type of thing, is that's the way the culture is. So there is no type of, you just are given the transportation glyph, which is probably the only one to Luwamba. So probably one of the least ones that you would have trouble getting to, although still a nation that is protective of its high magics, so you'd still have to, but there's no like palace that you would end up going to, and it's like there's no higher ups. They don't do that there.
Is it like full on communism? Like everybody's equal?
You don't know. You've never been there. There is
Everyone is not equal there. God knows that much.
There is one to Kamisk. It is of one of the misers' estates up there.
Okay.
And I don't want to make you think that miser is a bad term in this. It's just a part of the culture up there is that they have a miser for Kamisk. Again, Kamisk is technically part of the protectorate, but they haven't really received help as much from them. They've kind of been on their own kind of Norseman thing for quite a while, and just been under their own volition, and even traded with the protectorate as if they were another nation, just because the borders have been so undefined for so long. But there is one there. This page is old. This page looks like it hasn't been maintained, and it hasn't been, almost feels stuck just because the vellum has changed temperatures and it hasn't been opened in a long time. There is also one, I believe this is the last one. Well, technically not. There's another torn page here, of which you have no indication as to what it was supposed to be. There's one to the, it just says Lithuanian Confederacy.
Okay.
For those of you that are proficient in history, recognize that the Lithuanian Confederacy is based in Sarnlø, the elven capital. You also know that it's we talked about this before, you also know that it's an oligarchy, meaning that you have no idea what house this is going to end up going into.
I could go see your mom. I don't know.
I mean, if we're ready for that.
No. I mean, I still have to figure out some other stuff with this, but
You gained a great boon here.
yes.
No fun in Solis?
Yeah.
Can't go on
No
spring
one's
break?
Yeah.
It appears that
hometown?
Armand Mortanic did not find it advantageous politically or personally to have a teleportation
That's just biased.
or transportation book to
He
He gave us the business
If
book,
Solis
not the
has
personal
one.
book.
Yeah.
If Solis has one, that is.
He has a book
Kind of
of
the whole
vacation.
whatever happens in Solis stays in Solis.
Well-
Why would they have people teleport there?
Well,
Although
I mean, you gotta be able to get to
there
it.
may
to-
not
without
be
being seen.
there may not be a public one.
it's
in
not in
Solis.
Armand's book. That's all I have to say.
He's got his own book.
Yeah.
He's got his fun time vacation book.
He's got his book that's actually the pages are stuck together where he keeps the
He's got,
So
he's
little
got
black
his
book.
he's got his little
some
black
questionable
book.
the little
materials
Yeah.
sprinkled in the creases.
You really got to
It's
read
his,
between the
it's
lines.
his little black book that he keeps inside of his robe.
Right.
Okay, great. So
Amazing.
we're done with that.
Yep.
Great.
We got a bunch of spots.
What did you prepare today that you can, while they're off doing that shit?
For hours.
Let's see here. Today I have what I use to make holy water, which is ceremony. And I always have gentle repose.
That's a good
That
one.
can help with the hands.
That can help with keeping all of your stuff from not rotting.
Yeah, because you have so much rotting shit all the time. Everything you have except for Tortesi themselves is rotting. Like more than half of the stuff you have in your bag is rotting.
We don't have that much
No, just let me believe that.
material.
we other than log, none of us really harvest stuff.
I mean, we would have had to talk before I prepared spells today.
This is the purple worm.
But that's what I got
I mean,
prepared.
that's also fine. You guys kind of woke up together as you were doing stuff. If you guys wanted to have certain other things prepared, that's fine. Like I said,
What do you-
we're in
you-
downtime, so whatever it is that you want, you could have talked beforehand. That's
So are
totally
you
fine.
wanting divination?
I kind of do.
That's dangerous.
That's the 4th level, right?
Yeah. How do you give you water walk?
Yeah, because I got
Why
that
don't
one
you guys
already.
figure that amongst yourselves, and we'll come back to you, okay? Come up with the
Meld in
list,
stone.
and just do your best to try to speak quietly among yourselves so that we're not.
After I got the
Any
portable
crafting, artificery?
He is, but one of them's busy right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go back and help Argus do his.
Okay. Then any spell work?
Yeah, I mean, I'll work on spells, but I want to make sure to help Cole with his.
Yeah,
idea.
we were talking about
Right. You want to. I understand what it is you want to do. Real quick, and I'm talking about within 3 sentences. Go ahead, RP. What it is that you would like to request from Trisheni to help with?
you remember when I was talking about the tears?
Yeah.
I would like to try to make tears in combat when somebody like tries to stab me or something like that.
It seems very
And
heavy.
like move it from me to elsewhere.
Oh, yeah. So kind of controlling like a little, right? Kind of like what I do with the vortexes, but a little smaller, right?
Yeah, kind of,
Okay.
kind of like you know how we cast that shield to like protect that stuff, something like that. But instead of the shield, it's moving stuff.
It's an excellent idea.
Cool.
I've got ideas.
So pretty much doing combat, Valve version of Portal, like the green and blue or the blue and orange Portal thing. Like, now you're thinking with portals, that type of thing. But yeah, in combat. Cool. So we already fleshed this out
Yes, we
outside
did.
of game as far as that. But yes, this would most likely absolutely be something that Trisheni would have the expertise in, especially with her expertise in transportation magic and conjuration, moving things from one space to another. I know some other people might classify. I think like sending is classified as evocation. I think that's bullcrap. I think it should be more divination than anything else.
Yeah.
But
When we
I'm
were-
classifying teleportation magic as conjuration.
Well, and when we were talking about it, she was the one as a player, I wanted to talk with her character to
Absolutely.
to start this.
Makes
So-
far too much sense for it not to be that way. So yes, so we're going to do the whole thing where we're gonna do some rolls. How you want to spend the rest of the day on this?
Yeah, for the spell, yeah.
Okay, cool. So why don't you do? I'd say you need to spend at least 4 hours working on this type of stuff per check, and you need to have 10 successes for you to be able to do this.
Okay.
Okay, sound good?
Yep.
If you reach 10 failures before you reach 10 successes,
Yes.
You have to come up with a new spell.
Gotcha.
As you just do not have the mental or three-dimensional algorithmic capacity to learn.
I don't
this.
have the smarts to figure it out.
Yeah.
So is there?
I
Any,
did not give that a southern drawl. You did.
Oh yeah, I totally did.
I do want to work on something.
Okay, cool. Let me just have them roll, and then we'll come back. So why don't you go ahead and roll twice? You're going to roll. First, Trisheni, I want you to roll 2 performance checks as you teach. And then I want you, depending on how well she rolls, I might give you advantage on your Arcana checks.
Okay.
I'll come back to you in a second. What's your question?
I want to start using the Calacanicious method and start reforging some of the hand pieces off of Khalid. To see if I can improve his manual dexterity.
Catacanicious, who did made the tweeter.
Yes.
Sure.
Well, she taught us the master class on making limbs.
Yes, making appendages and limbs.
She told us the secret to her making the tiny little pieces.
That are delicate, but also,
Yeah.
but like that are so, yes, so
Salt
tiny,
water
but
and
still
ash
somewhat
and-
fortitude.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much creating artificial tendons and muscles, which is very, very difficult, especially given hard metal parts.
So I just want to like little pieces.
Do you want his fingers to like split, very like Ghost in the Shell style, and then be able to do
Yes.
like lock picking and stuff like that?
Yes.
Because he's got very thick fingers.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Go roll a tinkering check for me. I'll say you had the master class, so you can roll it with advantage. What'd you get for your?
14 and a 7
Okay.
for performance.
So these are both just straight rolls for
Sorry,
Arcana.
buddy.
No worries.
I'm so caught up with the math in my head that I can't explain it fully.
What am I rolling again?
Arcana.
Arcana. Oh yay. 10.
10. The first one, unfortunately, this is a lot of information. You feel like Armand Mortanic is preaching to you, but in a way that is far more intelligent or far more advanced than Armand Mortanic. So you're just not fully grasping the idea, and you just like you kind of space out for a moment, and you think about your sister, and then you go in and you're like, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention for the whole full 4 hours. Can you try that again?
Okay.
Well, it's not that you weren't paying attention. It's just like if you miss one thing, you lose the
Right,
whole.
yeah,
And
it's-
Trisheni, when she's talking about one of her favorite things, you can't get a word in.
It's like doing very high complex math when somebody's explaining to you, and if you miss a variable,
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah, exactly. You missed what n was, and you're like, oh well, shit. And she
None
erased
of
the
the rest
board
of it
several
makes
times.
sense
So
anymore.
Because I
Yeah.
had to. I ran out of space.
yeah, you ran out of space. Exactly. So go ahead and try again.
Yay! 21 with
21.
a nat
So that,
20.
that is so a nat 20. That's 2 successes.
Hey.
Okay. Cool. Go ahead.
So she specifically mentioned that it was dexterity. She is not an arcane crafter.
Great. This is mundane dexterity.
So dexterity tool check. Correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Still a 30.
Not necessarily because. Not necessarily. I didn't hear that, but hold on. Not necessarily because it is their dexterity that's doing it, but because it's taking. You have to do
Yeah.
very, very
Right.
fine.
Her
work.
method is not arcane in nature. It's
No.
dexterity, fine.
And I'll say that you have enough pieces of
I have
scrap
to use
among.
my teeth with like 3 tools
And your jeweler's
Yep.
tools actually take part of this, not just your tinkerer's tools, but also your jeweler's tools. So what did you get?
30.
30? Did you get a natural 20?
Yes. With expertise.
So here's the deal. Conk is now able to pick things up, use their manual dexterity to also use tools. If they're given a tool kit, they are actually able to use those tools. They have fine motor skills. They also gain proficiency in the lock-picking toolkit, as they now can able to put all of their little things into lockpicks and move them around with mechanical precision. Is there anything else you wanted to gain from that?
I was just trying to figure out her method using Conk as my test.
Yeah, you were able to do so wildly successfully. So much so that his dexterity is far greater than yours now.
'Cause,
Not statistically.
I mean, the end goal is to try and come up with prosthetics.
Yeah,
So I'm just trying to take her method and use it myself on my own.
I will say that what you learn through this is that as you're kind of like, kind of holding that piece of ironwood with you, and like fumbling around in your hands and thinking about whether you're going to do with it, it makes more sense to you than to not incorporate the ironwood in this scenario, because you specifically made Conk to be modular in this way to make easily disassemblable. But you also realize that you're that much closer. You made a big step towards creating your own like iron, turning conch into possibly your own ironwood or warforged, or I'm sorry, called they're called Zektect.
Revik. Getting him closer to
Yeah.
what Revik is.
With that much dexterity. What you did pretty much is that you went full cyborg mechanics with this, so that he has greater dexterity than any organic. But if you wanted to make him more actual, you have the mind power to be able to do that. Okay. You're that close to being able to revive the lost art of the Zektech creation.
Okay.
One of the things that you do realize, however, is that the Zektech weren't just programmable machines. They had souls.
Yeah, that's still a giant hurdle.
Yeah.
Someone who
But
works
huge
with
step for you.
Can I?
You are able to pretty much, you now know how to incorporate like ironwood tendons and muscle into mechanical behavior.
If I have a little more time, then can I focus on how the core connects to him, and see if there's any way to?
I would say that's something you have to do tomorrow. Doing what you just did with his hands is a full day job.
Okay.
You did.
You
like-
asked me if there was anything else I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
I was-
We'll and yes, thank you for telling me. We'll do that next day. Okay. You guys are done with what it is you want to do today. You guys decide what it is you're gonna do.
Agree.
I knew this was gonna come, and I'm so scared. Great performance.
enhance ability.
Sweet.
Okay, just straight charisma. then.
Go.
Hey, God, people. I've got some
What
questions.
did you get for your performance? Well, I wanted you to know your performance first.
So, you have to talk to the god.
Oh,
you have
no.
to pray to him, and you have to burn everything in the spot.
Oh, no.
And then when you do that, the smoke comes up, and then you have to peer through the smoke, and you have to see through the smoke into the flame that then brings the heat up, that then ignites in a big flame that lets you see past the world into the other being, and then it brings down and it says yes and no.
What if I just have some dice I roll?
Do whatever you want to.
Fuck it, man. I don't care.
Are you just doing this in the forge, or did you go to like an actual writing?
No, you're just doing it wherever. You guys doing it in the lobby with Eleazar right there, like on the coffee table. Like you pull out your bones from your hands and you're just like, how about these? And you're like, yeah, fuck it, whatever, man. I don't care. I'm not a teacher. It just works for me. So absolutely, definitely not. So you're actually at a minus for what you rolled for this. So what did you get for your charisma check?
Okay, well, so because he did enhance ability, so I did roll at advantage. So
I'm
if I take
gonna-
the lower, if I take the lower one,
No, it's fine. You already rolled. I'm just going to take a negative to whatever it is.
Okay, so if I take the lower one plus my charisma, it
No,
would
don't
be-
take the lower one.
No.
It's still enhance ability. It's still an advantage.
Okay.
Just tell me what the number is, and I'll add my own math to it.
His DC's higher.
Right. Okay. So
Yes,
so
essentially, yeah.
total would be a 16 then.
16. Okay, that is just barely a success here. You glean like, what? But also kind of the part of the way you connect with your patron is insanity and kind of confusion, just a little bit. So you kind of get you're a little confused, but you got the spirit. That type of thing is what's going on here. So that is a success. That's what it is. So that means I don't think we did like partial success, like a number of successes. I think it's just if it was a success, you learned the spell.
Yeah.
Yes, you do learn the spell. You do it however the fuck it is you want it, because you definitely don't trust the way he told
That's
you.
what
all of his spells
we
work.
bought bone dice for me from that traveling tinkerer guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Futures.
And then you have a
Unback.
bunch of extra bones from hands now.
Right.
Yeah. So I can totally imagine Log just pulling. I got a bag of bones. Hold on. Wait, those aren't the right bones, but they tell me.
That looks like a yes.
Yeah, you learn Argry. Anything else?
That's all I had for the day.
That's all I had. Okay. Cool.
How much time do you think is left in the day after? 'Cause
I'm
would've-
gonna say just for the spirit of this, you guys are done for the day.
Okay, cool
Just to keep this moving, you guys are done for the day. You end on the 35th. We're gonna do real quick log roll for your sleeping.
While they're studying, I'm going to cast daylight above Trishani's head.
Okay, that's fine. I know you guys like to do everything. Hey, wait, before I go to sleep.
Thank you.
Hey, wait,
that
before I
was
go to sleep.
Just to,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's
cool.
the end of that.
Already-
Really great.
Is anybody gonna stop me here? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Mage hand. Or not mage hand, mage armor.
That's fine. Okay.
Wait, are you doing?
I'm fucking with you.
No, but are you doing the thing?
Yes, I will do the.
Okay,
I
so
do
roll-
cast my spell.
Roll quickly. Roll your thing at advantage. Because I want to get on to the next day. Because I want to get through this.
That's wisdom save, so that's gonna be a 15.
15. Okay. Let me pull up my handy dandy.
We never figured out where we're going.
No, we have not yet.
Okay.
I should pull that out.
In the dream space, business as normal. Nothing out of the ordinary. The giraffe have not multiplied, but appeared to be forming some form of rudimentary, understandable speech. Like they can say, yeah, nah. And that's so if you're like, you want to get a drink? They're like, yeah. And they follow you into the tavern.
Gall's teaching him well.
You didn't tell us
I
about
actually
the
didn't do that.
Well,
But
sure,
I
shit
did
was an
check to
Inky.
see if we could milk them. I don't think, I tried the 2 things at the top. It didn't work. No.
If you check somewhere else, they might have liked it.
That's our log.
For legal reasons, no.
We worry about consent. They can talk.
There's a reason why we're an LLC now.
Okay. Good God. You wake up. No big deal. I will say,
We're gonna talk to you. through
log
your augury.
mark on your sheet somewhere. That Logs doesn't know this, but I'm gonna forget what this means if you ask me about it next time. So I'm just gonna let you know. Just don't meta. The next time you cast Eldritch Blast, you have it will, if it hits, it knocks people prone. Everyone that hits within the same casting of it, and that just stays until the next time you cast it.
So not every time I cast for the next day, just
The next
time.
actual casting of that particular cantrip, any of the bolts or whatever they call tendrils that hit an individual will knock them prone. I don't have.
The common
not gonna
trail
remember that,
of
so.
the bolt will be like giraffe spotted.
Nah, you're down. Okay, cool. So next day, go around again.
36 of high lock, the heart procs.
Who's rolling
Ooh, who wants to roll for the heart?
I feel like I did recently and it didn't go well.
I think I did the time before that, and it didn't go well.
Speaking of which, you guys know that the heart is encased in spent terrazine. Remember that?
Yeah.
You have quite a bit of terrazine on you now.
In little bits.
Yeah, in little bits. I don't know. You said you wanted to do experiments with it, or no? You're just like saying no. That's going to go away. Okay.
For now.
Play with me.
For now, we'll deal with it later.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Play with me
gonna
in the
roll?
space, and play with me.
Anyone?
Oh, I will. I already thought of some new things that I
I
can
don't
do.
ever trust my rolls.
Trichetti?
but
I'll,
Will.
I guess I'll
Skip the
roll.
heart for now, but what do you want to do?
Spell stuff. I mean, you know,
What spell stuff? You
I
want copy spells?
I like to try to, for part of today, work on getting
PP?
animate dead
Okay.
down. If I can have your help with that, Argus, and then the rest of the day I'll spend copying stuff into my
Done. Just
backup.
mark your spell slots so you know how much it is you're spending. And then for me, all I really need to know about it, unless if you're copying stuff, I don't need to know about it. You just do it, as long as you feel like you have enough
Yeah,
time to do it. But if
the-
you're doing spells, you need to roll. So go ahead and roll
Yeah.
at advantage. And then you know what a success is, so I don't even need to
Do you
tell
see
you.
that?
Yeah.
Wild.
It's like 10 plus the level is the success, right? Is the DC, right?
Yeah.
Or
So that's
8.
that's 11.
It's not the first level, it's the second level, isn't
Or
it?
is it? It's the third level.
So that's not a success.
No flash genius.
You can't flash genius.
I have to be
you have to be
next to
there.
it.
Is this something that you want to use your newly acquired or your world inspiration on?
You're not gonna lose the spell yet, right?
No, I would lose it
The scroll would
and burn up.
burn up.
Yeah. Let me just double check what that is. The
While you're doing that, Cole,
Yeah,
is there anything
so
you'd like to do?
I would like to take that cephalomorph brain fluid that I got from the last one and try and work on the blasphemous kumquat spell.
Okay, and I understand. And using the
This isn't the one. The
turning
material
into
we
like a
talked
truth
about,
serum.
But yeah.
Very X-Men about it. Like, you remember like where he took the spinal fluid of his son, Dr. Stryker or whatever his name was,
Colonel Stryker,
and
but
like
yeah.
made them mind controlled. Very X-Men of you. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Same thing. 10 successes.
Okay.
I used it, and I got it. So it was fine.
You got it?
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Because Trishani wouldn't want to.
That was not a success.
Okay. You remember you get 4 hours per. If you want to do another, you let me know.
Check and see if the sheath is finished.
Finished. You're done. You got it.
I will start work on the armor spell, if you remember that one, the custom one.
Yeah, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I know you have it and we have it written down. So
Yes.
sure.
Yep.
What level?
I think it's 4th. Yes.
Was it put in the Google Docs or no?
Yes, it was.
For your page in the creative content?
Yes. And I should be able to pull it up here. 4th level.
Oh, I see it here.
So yeah, it's like the first one listed, I think.
I understand. Yeah. What'd you get?
Plus charisma is 17.
17. That's a success. Go ahead. Same thing with 10 successes and you're good. Okay?
And then I'm going to...
Remember, if you get 10 failures before you get 10 successes, the cost and spell is gone. You got to come up with something else. You realize that as much as this is your baby and your dream, it's not feasible in this reality.
then I'm going to take 10 minutes to cast Augury and ask if I should steal Cole's loot.
His instrument?
Yeah.
Lute?
Hey, God, Daddy, should I steal something?
Roll whatever it is you have to roll for augury.
There's no roll.
There's no roll. It's just asking me a question. Okay.
If it's a good, a bad idea, or in
I mean,
between
you
idea
already
for the
know what
next
the
30
answer
minutes.
is.
Do I, though?
How much chaos do you want to sow in the group?
What God would he
Why
connect
would
to?
you put this evil on me?
Have you met
Don't
me?
you put that evil on me. Jesus.
I
It's like
can
saying,
tell
I
you
hope your kids
myself,
are as much of a
it
burden
will
as
be
you
woe.
were. Jeez. Why would you make this my decision? You suck.
For my own amusement.
Because I taught him this power.
You let him take that boon.
I'm going to come back to you. In a minute, in a second. I have to think about it. Anything
All
other
my
than
stuff
helping
is
everybody?
All around,
Okay.
like RP, it's like high Amulet and like all that sort of stuff. But
Okay, yeah, we'll take care of that stuff later. So we're probably going to re-enter the next session because we're going to end it soon. We're going to re-enter the next session like around midday on the 36th, and we can do RP stuff for that because we are kind of winding down. And I just wanted to get rid of any of your mundane, like shopping, spell rolls, all that stuff out of the way as much as I possibly could. What about you, Zemdek? You said you wanted to do something next day.
I just want to like poke around inside and plan. Like I'm not gonna actually fix anything, but I want to start planning
Sure.
the changes I'm gonna make internally.
For Mark III.
Correct.
Got it. Cool.
And then help pin Jack with paperwork.
Sure. So roll a tinkering check for me. This is intellect.
29.
29. You believe that you could use that fire piece of terrazine by itself without any modifications to the power source. Much smaller, more power. Meaning it wouldn't need as much of a harness within and as like a much of a carriage for, because what's in there right now is like this big. And you would need just something that could hold like this. You like almost the size, we're talking like Iron Man's size. Could be that big and could
make him blow fire, right?
and you also understand that no matter where you put it on its body, it would give the same amount of energy. You also know that with that roll, you could possibly draw fire from it given the right conduits.
Okay.
So the possibility of doing a built-in flamethrower for your Mark III is a distinct possibility.
He's getting dragon's breath.
Cool.
From my flame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Trishani, you good with everything?
Yeah, I'm gonna be spending 11 hours doing spell stuff.
Okay, so you spent 11
I'm
hours doing that
doing
fourth
the
level.
whole
So
day,
they're indisposed for the entirety of the day, pretty much.
I'm working on my spell again too myself.
The
so-
same portal
Yeah.
spell?
Yep.
Okay,
So-
you won't have her help with this.
No,
But
not
she
no,
laid
no,
a
I'm
bait.
the same one I was working on earlier.
I understand. With the spinal fluid, you got it.
17, or actually
Okay,
22.
that is going to be 8 hours in the day. If you want to be included into what Argus is doing for the rest of the day, that would be it. That's up to you.
That's going to be the end of what I'm doing.
What do you? What is?
I got I rolled a 17 to 20.
You're fine.
or,
Okay,
yeah.
that's a success. Okay,
So it doesn't necessarily say a specific being. It just says an otherworldly entity. So whoever answers him, you can answer it however they
yeah.
answer it.
I know how the spell works. I've
mean,
just been thinking about how actually my
pick a
response
random
is going to
being.
be. Well, no, that's not really how he works because
Yeah,
he's.
I knew who I was reaching out to.
All right. Are we gonna roll for the heart?
Yeah, we should.
Roll 5.
Why did you let him roll?
I don't know.
Because he's not proficient in it.
He's got a 20 on it before. It's happened.
Okay, so
His third shot was a 20, but that doesn't count.
Second one is a 1.
you get a response that I don't do wheel, woe, or any of that other bullshit or mixed thing. You get a response that to you, with your insight, feels like comedic amusement.
Fuck, can I see your paw?
From an otherworldly, very powerful entity is amused
By you stealing
by
it.
you.
That's on.
Yeah, it is pretty fucking funny. But I won't actually do it.
You won't actually do it? Okay.
I'm just agreeing that, yeah, it's funny. That's why I thought of it.
You literally were just joke checking the boss. I love it. I love it. Cast augury to see if a joke's funny.
So here's what I'll say. Trishani is indisposed. She's in the fang working away. Cole, if you want to be done for the day, there is a small chance that you would be able to be with the rest of the same thing with you, Log, and the same thing with you, Zemdek. I'll say, however, that you have a lot of work to do. So if you wanted to continue, or if you wanted to help Pinjack with paperwork, that's what you're doing for the rest of the day. Okay. So you are the only other ones available. You get to choose whether or not you want to be involved with what Argus is going to do for the rest of the day. If Argus makes you aware of what he's going to do.
Do you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go look for the high amulet.
I will accompany you because the high amulet sounds interesting.
Right, story boy.
Yep.
Right. that would totally make sense.
What about you, Log?
I feel like Log just feels like taking a day off.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to decide what it is you want to do about it next time, you just let me know. Eleazar's is kind of with you on that front. A little bit more introspective, but yes. How are you trying to find the high amulet?
Did Ermgrim... He told me a little bit.
Ermgrim's been around too, by the way. He hasn't gone anywhere. Remember? Like he has.
I would ask him to take me there.
Okay.
Because he owes it to me.
I would say that Ermgrim's. I'm not sure if you'd be able to know this, but maybe your instincts might saying that he's been going out of his way to kind of avoid interaction with y'all. And kind of avoiding that awkward confrontation of things that have happened. Trying to not talk about that drunken night deal. You eventually do corner him, find out where he is, and corner him and be like, take me to the high amulet. We need to talk. He kind of wordlessly
It's about time. Hey, are you coming too?
Yeah.
Is that what
Story.
you're wearing?
Do I need to wear something else?
Well, I just didn't know if you like those clothes because it might get burned off.
I mean, it's not the first pair of clothes I've lost stupidly.
All right, suit yourself. Hey, I don't want to get too in depth as to how I describe where it is that you guys go, because it doesn't really matter. Ermgrim finds this will be close enough. He turns into an alley, picks one of those trap doors into the basement of a storage, starts walking down it. Yeah, this is supposed to even up. Pulls out his plasma blade and cuts a hole in one of the walls of it. He goes like, that's right, another tunnel on this other side of here. And just keeps walking into these, it looks like naturally forming tunnels. I mean, you know how the Fang and was the Stoneworm clan, and so there's a lot of already like worm tunnels, whether they be like this big or huge, that have run throughout the immediate foundation of Steercrag. Mm-hmm. Probably not the best structural integrity, given that. But they continue to wind and weave in their way. Every once in a while, he cuts another doorway, and you move on. He cuts another doorway, and you move on. You continue to trudge until you feel like it's getting hot, very, very hot. And heat, hot. To the point where Cole, I need you to roll a Constitution saving throw.
Yeah. Not the worst. Not the greatest either. 13.
13. Take a point of exhaustion for me, please.
Okay.
As this is in, like, especially for your proclivities.
Yeah.
This is way too hot. You're okay. You're used to this type of heat. I mean, this is still really friggin' hot. And you're starting to realize that, shit, we may be approaching a lava tube. This is getting to be that type of heat. And sure enough, eventually one of the tunnels opens up to a lava tube. There's a bit of a platform that is there's kind of dirt and stone that's just been like collapsed and flattened in a way. It kind of goes up and around this way and then kind of steps up like this. There's a platform and then it just drops off into a running lava river stream that's just going from right to left. The river is about 50 feet across. There is a mound about the center of this lava river in which you see a individual. You're not able to tell their race or persuasion or gender or anything like that from this distance. Looks like they are hunched over, back arched in some sort of cross-legged style facing away from you on this thing. The fact that that person is not entirely on fire is a miracle, because the amount of heat they must be experiencing being less than 3 feet from an actual glowing red-hot lava stream should be unbearable and immense. But they're not. There is nobody else here. Not a single individual that you can see or that you notice. Ermgrim looks at you and is like, "Hey, are you ready?
I am.
Are you sure?"
What else do I have to do? There's a lot of crazy crap that's been going on.
Well, I mean, they'll tell you it's complicated, but, or it's not really that complicated. This isn't really my thing.
I'd love to know more about the religion, how we do things, and
Okay.
what the hell's been going on with me recently.
Pick up the stone.
Okay. I'll pick it up.
Throw it at him. Well, no, I mean, like, nearby, so they know that you're, like, plunk it. Like, make a skadoosh in the lava, you know?
A skadoosh in the lava?
All right, look,
Do you
I'm
want
like the worst
downstream or
person you
upstream?
could ask to be a part of this, all right?
What do I do? Downstream, upstream?
It don't matter, just make sure they know that you're here.
Hey! And then I'll chuck the
Argus,
stone.
Argus, just don't brain him with the stone.
So you say hey, and this individual turns their head to look at you, appear to like come out of the stupor of like perhaps their meditation, not sure. And you throw the stone, and they just go and catch the stone in the air before they set it down in front of them and they turn around. What stands up is what looks to be a human, nondescript, mostly naked. You can't tell. Like there's like appeared to be non-binary, very androgynous individual. The chest sags in certain places, making it very difficult to determine what it is, and it doesn't really. And like it just appears to be an androgynous individual, that wrapped in only what looks like, I don't want to say a loincloth, but a wrapping that kind of makes that like a pencil miniskirt kind of effect, but enough where it's flexible where they can continue to move that protects that part of the body. But other than that, everything else is showing. I don't want to say beard as much as just patches of scraggly, maybe facial hair. You don't know whether it's charcoal, like burnt or whatever, but there's just something on the face. The hair is matted in a way where it kind of is off to one side a bit and tangled. Looks sunken eyes, big dark circles, almost not emaciated, but close to that type of feeling, lithe individual. But it's still, even when you're looking at them, even though they look like frail, not necessarily old either. It's weird. They're full of paradoxes. They look lithe and svelte and emaciated, but also intimidating and not someone you want to pick a fight with. Tall, but also hunched and stout. Lanky, but also somewhat portly, even in the belly area. It's so hard to actually define this individual. Matted hair off to the side of no particular color. Curly and woven and tangled. The individual eventually stands up. From what you can tell, you take a look at the ears and you get the stature and the body measurements. Looks to be just a human, an androgynous human. They don't really give off an air of much of anything else. Only that wrapping around that kind of pencil miniskirt style that just stops about halfway down the thigh. Somewhat dirty, but not gross, and like not like that hobo kind of like homeless type of I don't have a chance to clean myself type of thing, but more of like more unfortunate soul, but just different, kind of like ashen
Smudges.
Their skin is the color of gray ash. They turn around, stand up, their clavicle and shoulder still hunched, their eyes turn to you at an angle, their head cocked, their sunken eyes deep within their skull as their like just layers and layers and layers of circles under their eyes begins to sag into their cheeks, which then gets lost in the ash or facial hair, you're not sure, of the dark charred face. Just one eye, just you feel the presence of that eye like burning on the side of your face, like when you're standing next to a space heater and it's not blowing but it's just radiating that heat, and you turn your face and you feel the heat on you, or sitting next to a fire and you feel the heat on this side. You can feel the heat of just the gaze. At first you think it's the stream, but then you feel the gaze upon your cheek that traces across the top of your forehead, down your temple, across your shoulder, down your arm, focuses on your hand for a moment, pierces your armor through your knee, and then its non-blinking stands at you as it steps into the lava stream and wades through it. Ghastly, almost monstrously uncaring, unfeeling, no pain, no fire, no combustion, as if it were water, a stream, very little force, just wades through you, moving 10, 15, 20, 25, little tiny 30 feet, and while it purls itself, it only ever got just above its belly button as it then emerges from the lava. The lava now dripping like water from its fingertips and the edges of its knees that are protruded so much from the edge of its stature as it bends, kind of half, not locked and stand up, but somewhat hunched. And there is a bend in those knees so much that they actually create a point of position where things can drip off of them. Those bony sides, the ankles, liquid lava drips from their form. No burn, no scars, no nothing. But it turns to black stone as it touches the ground. And they gaze at you, and you feel that heat again, the heat from the stream and the heat from the gaze. And they finally open their mouth, and what you feel is this hot, hot breath from their mouth. Not smelly, not halitosis, but the burst of a geyser of heat. You doubt? As their eyebrows become widened. And that's where we're going to end our session today. Thank you guys for watching. If you can, please support us on Patreon and follow us on YouTube, Twitch, and all of that other stuff. Thank you to all of our artists and composers, and thank you to our players for being here. We love you all. Stay safe out there.
Night, guys.
See you next time. Bye.